Hello, hello, hello. Uh-oh. Sorry about that, y'all. So, just had to do little housekeeping things since I did get to podcast from home. I wasn't sure. My internet went out and I was like, oh, did I not pay the bill like that bad? But it turned out to not necessarily be that issue. Because I saw my neighbors at MSA and they were like, the internet's out at our house. So I was like, oh, everybody's internet's out. So hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Love Inspire Teach E. It is the Firestarters podcast since I now have two podcasts under our brand. And I'm happy to say my girls encouraged me to keep pushing and do more for our ladies, because I do get a lot of feedback that I resonate with women primarily. So I'm not gonna keep ignoring that and pushing back against that, even though I grew up with four brothers, y'all. I'm trying to give people, as always, time to come in because they might be just getting off of work or they may be at the bar. So if you are a regular listener, I truly appreciate you. If you are catching the replay and this is your first time, welcome, welcome. Just to let you know, Love Inspire Teach E is the company. Love Inspire Teach E is LITE, I'm sorry. And it started off as a blog initially. And then during the pandemic, everyone was talking about pivot. So it pivoted into a podcast this year. I am TeMeka Williams. I am the creator, the Chief Evolution Officer, also known as the CEO. We are an LLC. So I am the primary stakeholder. I can get in trouble with the IRS, y'all. And I really created Love Inspired Teach E because I wanted to help others in the way that I wish I had received help when life was hitting me hard and the bills were piling up and I was constantly feeling like, how am I going to survive in court? And I was in family court. I got hit with that when I had recently moved to a brand new city and was already trying new things. So it was just a lot. And I'm sorry, I'm going behind the scenes. I usually do on Facebook. It was a lot and I learned a lot. So I always try to take the silver lining out of situations that I've been in. I'm looking at this positive energy wall art that I got from Dollar Tree. Shout out to Dollar Tree. They make a person who is on a tight budget really stretch those pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes. And let's face it, we're still recovering from this pandemic. It is still unusual times. It's our new norm. And so that's what really led me to today's topic, the definition of crazy. I hear it in so many spaces. I hear it at work. I hear it around my girlfriends. I hear it around my guy friends. I hear it just out when people are telling me things they've heard on the news. One of my girlfriends today, we were talking about school stuff for our kids, but she was also like, TeMeka, did you hear that there was a child who got molested at McDonald's? And I was just like, I don't watch news. I don't like to hear bad stuff like that. She's like, I just felt so guilty because I left my daughter. And I was like, you know what? Like, what was that area? And honestly, it's the fear mongering that really frustrates me, especially when it comes to the word crazy. I loved when Martin Lawrence used to say, "You so crazy." I grew up in the 90s and the context of the word crazy has changed and evolved so much, especially because in this pandemic, we're seeing things we're not accustomed to, or in relationships, women and men will call the other party crazy all the time when it's something they're frustrated about or something they don't understand, or something they don't like, something they've never experienced, or something that just doesn't sit well with them. But is crazy the right word to use for that? I'm not convinced it's the right word to use for that. So I just wanted us to talk about the definition of crazy and really get into, has that definition changed, or is the connotation positive or negative where we're at currently? Because when the riots were occurring at the height of the pandemic, because we were in the midst of a pandemic when the George Floyd verdict came out. And then here, I'm in the city of Chicago. Here in the city of Chicago, there was looting and rioting going on literally all over the city. And I guess it's a good thing that people have short memories, because that really hit home for me. But I did not want to be stuck in the house. I still had this urge to leave the house, and people would say, "That's so crazy, TeMeka." And I was like, it's crazy to stay stuck cooped up when that's not in my nature. And also, I had a friend who was on me because I have all kinds of tools clearly to help so I can be hands free when I'm podcasting or when I'm using my phone. And in my car, I have a cell phone holder, and FaceTime or Google Duo, or now Android phones now have the video phone feature. And my friend was like, "TeMeka, are you FaceTiming me from the car?" Or I'll be on Zooms and they're like, "Are you driving?" And I'm like, I've driven for almost all of my sales career. Yeah, if it makes you uncomfortable, you can do what you need to do. I suppose I could turn off the camera, but I like to see people when I talk to them. That's just my personal preference. But they're like, "You're so crazy." And very recently and frequently, and it's not new to me, but it's new to some people who I make new friends. I was a Girl Scout. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. But one of my new friends was just like, they consistently kept calling me crazy, and it was frustrating to me because it is still, and it used to be a quicker trigger word for me, but it's a trigger word for me. I don't like when people use that terminology because I think it's unfair. I think it's a misnomer because it makes it sound as though I don't know what I'm doing or I don't understand what I'm doing. So let's look at the definition of the word crazy. We're 8 minutes in, or 8 minutes past the hour. So it is the happy hour podcast. So I already started, but I'm really, what is this? This is Grape Goose, but I'm not really, like, I'm tired. So I actually was debating pouring Pepsi into this so I could get a little more energy. Even though it was a great day and I got good rest, it's just going to court. I had court this morning. Always, it hits me hard, because that is a place where people pass a lot of judgment. And I feel like people who pass judgment are the ones who use that word crazy. Or think about that whole workout program that people loved, Insanity, right? And when you think about, one of the ways people define insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But the funny thing about a workout is it's insanity and it works really well. You may not do the same exact thing over and over again, but you're still doing that same program. So it's kind of misleading from my perspective in some ways. But let's look at these definitions. So I first want to share, I am a person of faith. I do attend Mass regularly. Yes, I'm Catholic, but that also means I'm Christian. I believe in the Bible. I believe in Jesus Christ. But I did room in college with a Muslim woman who happened to marry a Christian. But she was very, very, she's still to this day is very strong in her faith. And she's the one who taught me that Jesus is in the Quran. They just don't revere him in the way that Christians do. So she'll always be talking to Father Abraham. I'm like, oh, I know Abraham. But in any case, let me get these definitions up here. I have it as a ticker. Let me make it so it's not a ticker, so you guys can actually just see what the definitions are. But from my confirmation class, it was basically told to us by the priest there that it's those things that people don't understand. People, when they don't understand something, it's easier for them to call it crazy than to just say it's something new for themselves, something to learn from. So there's that. And then we have the Merriam-Webster definition. I actually have that pulled up on the other laptop. Hoping to have a production assistant today, but that didn't work out. I'm going to pull that one up, but you can see it on the screen if you are on YouTube or on the Facebook business page, because that is where our podcast is primarily, is YouTube and the Facebook business page. I have not been good about posting it to the website lately, because honestly, when you guys go to the website, I want you to look at events and look at our services and think about working with us, because I do have a team. It's interesting because a lot of my team does not like to be on social media. I think we're just like a lot of empaths, and it's draining to us to see a lot of strife in the world and different things that people don't necessarily understand. So let me get back to sharing. I'm going to share my screen, share my tab for the Merriam-Webster definition, because I paraphrased it. I just said that which is extreme or flawed, but we'll look at the actual website with the definition. So I have that tab available. I just got to put it on the screen for you guys to see and share it so that you can see that. It's an adjective. Full of cracks or flaws is definition 1 of 3. Not mentally sound, marked by thought or action that lacks reason, impractical, erratic, being out of the ordinary, unusual, those that people don't understand. Absurdly fond or infatuated, passionately preoccupied or obsessed, like crazy. As a noun, definition of crazy, entry 2 of 3. One who is or acts crazy. I hate when they use the word in the definition, but especially such a one associated with radical or extremist political causes. As an adverb, extremely or wildly. So that's the Merriam-Webster definition of the word crazy. And I think in some contexts, some of these definitions would work okay, right? But to say cracks or flaws or unsound, I feel like that one's a little unfair. Not mentally sound or marked by thought or action that lacks reason. Just because you don't understand something or it's not in alignment with the things that you were taught, does that really make it crazy? And then in my situation, I've gotten called crazy so many times in my life. How many people, men, women, children, old, young, how many times have you been crazy? And do you let it get to you? Does it bother you? I know for me, it is not a pleasant experience at all. Just because I find it as a negative connotation. I find it to be just an unfair statement to make about a person. And so let me get into the context that I've heard it. I've heard it frequently relationship wise, whether with my family, or even my girlfriends and my guy friends, honestly. I'll do things that they wouldn't do because people who know me know that I'm a straightforward person. I've learned to change my words a little bit more because not everyone can handle how straightforward I can be at times. And so I've learned that my upbringing was very much a be direct, honest, straightforward, cut and dry style. And not everyone can handle that. So if you know anything about my background, come from a championship family or championship city. I live in the city of Chicago. We are a city of champions. There have been many rings won in this city. But there's been losses too. Don't get me wrong. Let me show some humility. But also, my father's part of the one who raised me is part of the winning White Sox leadership. And so we were always taught to strive for our best, to do our best, to always continue to grow and learn. And the not conforming to the things that they told us would make us better or help us succeed was considered crazy. So that's in my family where that would come in. Also being half Filipino, like you're supposed to become a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, a very secure path. So to do anything outside of that, crazy. in relationships. Anytime I've been in a relationship with a person who didn't like that I was straightforward, honest, and forthcoming, because again, that winning attitude was, if we don't communicate clearly what we think and believe, then we're not going to succeed, right? But if it's not in alignment with someone else, it was like this big bullying or pushback thing that was very difficult to navigate. And I've since learned a little bit more about navigating it. So in relationships, I've found that when I tell people the truth about my perspective about another person, and not just focusing on me and things that I know I need to change or improve on, like I can own my things that I can change, but when I'm like, I'm doing my part, what about you? Hey Tai Tai. What about you? I feel like people are not as receptive, And again, I know that people like nice words and we're politically correct, and we're supposed to like change the things we can change. But if you are doing everything you possibly can yourself, sorry, I didn't want to wake her up. Lilia. I'm gonna put her up. I'm sorry. I always do this. I just don't like locking my doggy up. All right. My apologies. I almost got the song. I wanted to play a clip of Crazy in Love, but I was like, no, I need a newer song about being crazy. But I also love Aerosmith Crazy. Or what is it? The song about being fine, fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. But to get back focused now that my dog distracted me, I just find that if you've done everything in your power to uplift a person and try to focus on the things you can change, and that nothing is changing, it's no longer you, it's them. But then they want to call you crazy because it's easier to place the blame on you, but really it's a reflection of the things that's going on with them. So that's why I always encourage people not to take things personally. It's also something I learned from either the Four Agreements or I love the Four Agreements, I love The Alchemist, and there's one other book because I always mix up Paulo Coelho and oh god, I hate when I jumble my books, some of my favorite books. But regardless, is it really crazy if you're telling someone the truth? Or if in your attempt to tell somebody, hey, I've been biting my tongue, specific instance. So we have to cancel somebody, guys. This podcast, it's the Firestarters podcast. Who cares? So I had, in the video still up, I got my tattoo on this podcast, right? And the truth of the matter is I paid for the supplies and I trusted the artist, the expert, to know what would be good. And I was hoping that the color would liven up the art. He never really asked me any feedback. He just picked one and did it. And I was okay with it because I usually trust the artist, but this was a new one for me, right? And this particular person who I did tell you guys on the podcast I was dating stole from me. Now that to me is nuts and crazy, extreme, wrong on so many levels, right? So if you watch the podcast, you'll find out his name. We'll just call him Ghosty rather than his real name. But so he stole from me. And then on top of that, he took advantage of me when I was trusting him. That is absolutely nuts, bonkers, and crazy, right? And in that situation, when I've been like trying to be patient, I've been trying to like force myself to take time before I address it. And I waited a good 3 weeks. Do you know that this person is still finding it easier to call me crazy, blame me, come up with all these excuses? And I'm like, I look at the reflection that I'm like, you clearly have issues. You smoke a lot of weed, you carry guns, you've been shot at and stabbed, and yet I'm the crazy one. I don't have gunshot wound scars or stab wounds. I don't. I do have a mouth on me. Don't get me wrong. I have learned to choose my words carefully. I work in sales and marketing, y'all. I do know when I am cursing or when I'm hot that I've hit a level where I'm like, all right, the nice TeMeka's gone, the politically correct TeMeka's gone. It's still gonna be even professional me because I'm my tongue is swift and sharp, and I have family. If you ever watch what my dad was like in his early days, or if you know my mom, they call her a piece of work. Their words can cut deep, and I know how to do it, and I try my best not to. But it's crazy. Just like it's crazy to think that a little girl, or I don't know, I didn't read the article, little girl, little boy in McDonald's is molested by some person who's clearly touched in the brain or who was abused themselves, but it doesn't make it right. And in this pandemic, we're all having heightened awareness about carjackings. My neighbor across the way just said that her purse was stolen at the grocery store, and she said it was my fault because I walked away from my cart. But I grew up in the suburbs. You can walk away from your cart for a hot second and be okay. Not these days and age. If you're on my personal Facebook page, you'll see an ex of mine who his background's totally different than mine. I do totally respect him, but there's some things that have happened in his life that I'm just like, whoa. I want to call it crazy, but to him it's probably normal, except for I attended a funeral for his best friend, one of his best friends, who was young. And that same night he got shot at. And I knew nothing I was going to say was going to make it right. And I tried, I did say, don't let this overshadow what this day should be about for you. And he was like, all I'm going to think about is I almost died that day and I was shot at that day. I can't think about the person who I laid to rest, who had a bright, shining star of a soul, because now I'm thinking about I got shot at on my block where I didn't know they were at war because he had so much on his brain, right? And I still genuinely feel it's a choice, but it's crazy. And he deals with death all the time. He works in an industry where death is part of his day to day, but it was still so traumatic for him. So I think that people using the word crazy all willy-nilly is traumatic for me, and it should be traumatic to everyone else. We should use it carefully because the words you use impact people and they do matter. So if you consistently tell your children, oh, you're so crazy, or you're so wild, or you're so bad, or I tell my kids, it's all about your choices. That was not a good choice. That was not a good behavior. I want you to make better choices. And my son will be like, I did it because I'm stupid, mommy. And I'll be like, oh, absolutely not. I want you to repeat after me. And I have him repeat it back 3 times. I'm very, very, very smart. I am very smart. I'm intelligent. I'm the smartest kid I can be. I'm the best me I can be, because these words that are thrown at us, the news and all the negativity, it seeps into us and weighs us down. And anyone who's gotten to know me knows that if I'm mad and I'm angry and I'm venting, like something really is bothering me. But generally speaking, I try to be positive. I try to find the silver lining. I try to be the person in the room that isn't going to make this situation worse, isn't going to be the crab in the barrel bringing us down even further. I don't get me wrong. There was a phase in my life where all I wanted to do was vent and all I could do was complain because I was just tired of the negativity that surrounded me. And it just seemed easier to give in. Like you see my fingers are like, and that's genuinely, I'd gotten that low. And it's just that it had been just inundated into me. And like constructive criticism is great, but timing is everything. Word choice is everything. There is a nice way to tell someone you can do better, or I used to do this and I did it this way, and and it's like, hold up. This is my life and my moment, and you may have been in a totally different situation. You don't know this is going on in the background. You don't know that's going on in the background. You don't. And the helpers in us want to be like, we can fix it. But sometimes you just need to listen, because it's crazy. I'm going to use that word. It's crazy to think you know everything and you can help somebody when you haven't even heard. the full story. You haven't gotten all the details and haven't really honed in on the root cause of what's happening, what's going on. So surprisingly enough, we're 25 minutes in. I didn't know I was going to go that easily that long on this topic, but I'm supposed to have a commercial break. So I want you guys to like, subscribe, share, comment, ring the notification bell. Don't forget, I always have merch readily available. So if you know any women that like sparkly things, we do have these t-shirts out right now. It says learn, inspire, teach, evolve. So I maybe should make one that says listen, inspire, teach, evolve. All these L words. But first edition in honor of my grandmother, Love Inspired Teachy, available on our website, or I think our Facebook marketplace is up. So feel free to purchase merch. So there's that. I also have to promote, we have a Thursday podcast called Sisterly Love. Men and women are both welcome to join in the conversation, but it is highlighting women and, just different topics that impact us. And I have a wonderful, beautiful group of ladies who are supporting me in this new podcast. This week, Tyrena or Tai and Kira will be joining me. Really, we're the triple threats, but Kira doesn't go by her full name. But just so you know, it's all 3 T's. But if you just do Thursdays plus the Q, it'll still be a triple threat. It could be a quadruple threat, but it's not. But this is my little commercial break. I wanted to commercial break something else though. And I had the idea for a hot second, and then I forgot what else I was commercial breaking for. I wish I could remember. Why did it escape me that fast? Wasn't the right time for it, I suppose. But yeah, little brief commercial break to let y'all know to check the website, support us in those small ways, because I do have 2 children that want to go to London and Paris. I still haven't taken them there yet. It is amongst my goals. So shout out to Michaela and Jules, my loves that inspire me to keep pushing hard, even on the days when I'm exhausted and I don't want to do anything else. And maybe I'll even do a little commercial break. I normally try to do a nonprofit, but I've been really bad about picking specific ones lately. But the fatigue, the mental fatigue, the social fatigue that people have right now, I think it's important to shout out those. Check on your strong friends. Your friends that get called crazy regularly, your friends that aren't afraid to say, hey, that doesn't sound right, that's so wrong, and get called crazy and get all this negativity thrown at them, and it comes back up. And they need our encouraging words to pull them out of the darkness. So the nonprofit I was going to go ahead and select is Out of the Darkness. It's a suicide prevention walk. And I think it's normally held in the summer. But I will pull up the website so at the end of this I can give you guys more details. But it is from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I think really what you can do is you can host them and create that conversation, because I have talked to, like I said, a friend whose a young child died. I didn't even talk about the weight that they were carrying, but I was trying to do my best to support them, and it's a lot. It weighs on me too, and I still try to be that positive person, but I can't always be that one. But I try. I have my days too. I really should be celebrating today, though. I did get good news in regards to things my children need. So my dog is mad because I don't know if it's a walk or there's like somebody at the door. Most likely she just wants to walk. And she did get one today. So it's maybe getting spoiled. All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand. I really wanted to ask, if there's anyone else who can relate to the whole, being called crazy in other contexts. So, getting called it in a relationship by family members, it can cut deep. But what about in the work environment? Like, for example, if you have a boss that doesn't like some of your new suggestions, or if you have coworkers that think that every time you speak up and bring a new idea and you're like Miss Susie Sunshine. Yeah, can you tell? I've gotten that before, and people just hate that I'm like, oh, we can fix it. Oh, there's a new idea. And then poo-poo on my ideas. So in the workplace, how do you handle it there? That's especially that place where you're supposed to be politically correct and you can't snap off on anyone. You could be concealed carry, but still you can't pop that gun out. Like if you want to keep your job anyway. You can't pop up at somebody's house. But you're at work and you get called crazy. How do you handle that? Like a lot of us internalize it and we say nothing. But how many of you actually pull that person aside or use the open door policy at your job and go to your boss and say, hey, I really want to be a team player. And I just feel that there needs to be an effort to promote more positivity towards ideas or things that people are not used to. And I don't know how that fly got in the house. Sorry. It's going to bug me. But do you speak up and get support for yourself? If you're in a situation in the work environment where someone is ridiculing you and making you feel like your contributions to the team are less than worthy, how do you handle that? I know, like I said, for me, I've been hesitant to use open door policy. I have. A lot of companies now do these supposedly anonymous surveys, but if they do them consistently enough, and if there's open feedback, an open format where it's not yes or no answers, then they can possibly decipher who said what, because people have consistent styles, and you'd have to like be an actress and totally change your tone and maybe talk like a valley girl or like in your typing. So those are some of the ways I've addressed that. But in this day and age, we're supposedly diversity and inclusion, and we're supposedly kumbaya, and we accept tats and we accept colored hair, and conservatives don't run everything anymore. I don't necessarily think that's true in all the spaces that claim it to be, but hey, who am I to judge? But what do you do in those instances? Does that mean it's your time to? I have a girlfriend who was like, oh, I can't stand this coworker. It's exit strategy time, and wanted to start looking for a new job. But I hate when you get run out of your spaces. Like if someone at church is bothering you and acting super duper crazy or making you uncomfortable, like I get hit on a lot in, I feel like, inappropriate places. And does that mean I have to switch my church? Especially if you're not getting support from leadership. I don't think that should be the case at all. There should be systems, processes, and places in that check these people that are out of line. Now, those people are crazy. They meet the definition of crazy. That's extreme. It's not just that is something that is unfamiliar and you're not used to. So maybe crazy is about people who not only are extreme and out of the norm, but they're also negatively impacting others. We have a new guest in the studio today. I don't know if he wants to pop in and say hello. I can check the private chat. I could add him to the stream if he's ready, but I guess I'm trying to think where's the way I can hear from them. But they joined the studio today, so it's fun because normally it's Drew or Tai Tai that are in studio, and sometimes they'll come on. But I want you to meet a fellow podcaster, so I'm hoping he's going to be okay because I'm going to add him to the stream. He was on the camera for a hot second, so let's see if his sound is on. Nico Suave, is it Suave or Suave?
The first one. The first one.
All right, Suave. Okay, I love it. So, are you okay with joining the stream right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, I'm happy to have you. Thanks to you for jumping in. I think he has a podcast today too at 7. So I'm really extra excited about this. But since you popped in, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and go ahead and tell him about your podcast that you're doing? And I will share, I met him through a friend, Nicholas Walcott. His son Grace does Grayson Dean Racing. He's a go-kart racer, and I was watching his podcast with Grayson and his dad, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cute. I love it. So with that being said, I will definitely let him introduce himself and just let him know I've been talking about the definition of crazy in different spaces. For example, first I talked about when family calls you crazy. Then I talked about when people in relationships call you crazy. And I think you jumped in as I was kind of wrapping up talking about people at work calling you crazy in different situations. And then just the pandemic world we live in and some of those things. But introduce yourself and go ahead and tell us about your podcast now. And I'm not sure, like I said, I thought you had one today too.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep.
How's everyone doing? I'm Nico Suave, media personality out of Chicago, Illinois. And, my podcast is called Live with Suave. I do it every Sunday and Monday, where I'm really just trying to promote, black businesses, because I don't think we get our just due. So, I try to bring, a small business every week. Someone just doing something good, even with the athletes and musicians. I just try to give people a platform to, um, brand themselves, and hopefully whoever sees it, supports them, and, hopefully they build a connection. And that's all I'm about, just building connections and, you know, making everybody better, because you never know who's watching.
Exactly. Oh, well, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. And yes, building a community is so important. And I think it still even ties into the topic at hand. If you're getting called crazy in your community, is that okay? Is that not okay? Especially if we're promoting our businesses, our entrepreneurs, our local shops and business owners, and we have this great resignation going on. Or like I said, with kids, even on the playground, when they call each other crazy, is that okay in the context we're talking about it today? And I started off early on in the podcast talking about how I thought that when Martin Lawrence came out with "You So Crazy,"
Mhm.
or if you remember, I'm a '90s. I was raised during the '90s. The way he said it was so joking and playful. It wasn't totally negative. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, just in that regards, I think that it's great to promote one another, but is all press, all promotion good promotion at this point? You know how there's always this thing, Kim K made $1 million off a sex tape,
Yeah.
or Cardi B says whatever the hell she wants and she curses and says X, Y, and Z, and she's a hothead and they've got her to tone it down so she can keep making millions. Is it okay to say it any old way?
I think in the modern society, we okay everything, like, no offense, but, like thought culture. Everybody, it's the, oh, accept your sexuality and be who you want to be and live your best life. It's like, yes, you do, but you can't be upset if dudes are approaching you in a certain way based on how you dress or how you present yourself. So, it's like,
Is
oh,
it is it based on how you dress or how you present yourself, or truly both? Because
both.
honestly, as a woman, I can dress any way I want and I will check you if I feel that just because it's hot outside and it's 90 or 100 degrees, and yes, this is a bra top and shorts, but that should not give you the freedom to say whatever you want to me because it's hot outside. So in that context, I feel like you've got to add a few more layers to it. Sometimes we oversimplify things.
So when I say that, do you wear booty shorts outside?
I have, yeah.
You
Especially
have.
to the beach. Mhm.
Okay, where you going? All right, you going to the beach. I
Mhm.
can accept that. But if you just go to the barbershop, the store, places where people are, or
Mhm.
even the mall, is is the man wrong for approaching you a certain way based on what you have on?
Yes, he should always approach me with respect and treat me as a woman who can wear whatever she wants and deserves respect as a baseline, because I could have just came from the beach with my children in that outfit and we needed to run in and buy someone a new beach sandal because the waves in the ocean took the one away and I'm still in my swimsuit. Or we could be at the restaurant because again, we came from somewhere where I came from a party where it was a costume party, a masquerade ball, and it was based on Carnival. And Carnival, they're all half naked. And I came in wearing this, except that I am a person worthy of respect regardless of my attire. Now, if I come at you with an attitude or I come at you as someone who, yeah, you need to reflect back that I have a nasty attitude and I don't deserve respect, then yeah, you can come at me any old way. But if I'm wearing what I'm wearing, no, you can't think that that gives you permission to treat me any old way. And I'll check someone who tries it easily. But that's me. I'm 41 years old.
I hear that.
But I've been that way a long time though.
But I do feel you can't present yourself as sexually liberated, uh, have very revealing clothes all the time, and then at the same time be upset because somebody be like, "Dang, Shorty got a fat one." You
Yes,
can't.
you can. I was raped. So I think I know you
Were,
don't know
were
my
you?
background the same way everyone does, but the way I carry myself and my body positivity is definitely about I don't care who you are, what you think you can do to me because of how I look, because I was raped. I really carried that with me so long and I changed a lot of things about myself. And so, no, I reject anything where someone says, oh, well, you were asking for it. The hell I
No,
was.
I'm
I
not.
don't
I'm
no,
not
I'm not saying that
asking.
you're putting in that context, but I'm saying no matter what I wear, that is not the definition of how you treat me.
I get that, but I do believe you open yourself up for people to say things. I believe that.
I do believe people will always have commentary and an opinion, but I also am a firm believer in if it's unsolicited feedback, you're going to get a response that you may not like because yes, we all have the freedom to speak our minds and to have independent thought, but that does not mean you have to share it with me or treat me a certain way. That's your choice to make and you will get treated accordingly. So, yes, you can respond to me in a way that you think is appropriate and I will correct that immediately because that I never gave you permission to treat me any type of way. I never did. But you may have thought that. You may have been conditioned to think, oh, a woman who wears red lipstick, like way back in the day, she's a hussy. Oh my God, that girl's skirt doesn't touch down to the bottom of her fingertips. She is asking for it. She wants me. She wants me to. No, sometimes women do things that makes them feel good. There's some rap song where it's like, she doesn't do it for the man he never notices. We don't do it for y'all. Like y'all hate lashes. We know you hate lashes and we don't care. We like our lashes. We think they're pretty.
I think a lot of times y'all do though.
We do what?
You do certain things to get a man's attention.
A man's attention?
Yeah,
What if you like women?
you could. You
I'm saying, like, what if a woman is dressed a certain type of way and a man's assuming she likes men and she's like, I didn't even do this for you. Keep walking.
but you're
I
doing
think people
it
shouldn't make
at the
assumptions
day.
and they set expectations of people that those people they're setting the expectations on don't even hold themselves.
That's true. Very true.
But I appreciate your feedback. I'm sorry. Like you probably didn't even know what to expect.
Oh, all good. Because I do feel like the way we dress in modern culture, men and women, you will be treated as such. If if you're you can't expect to you can't expect to be treated with respect if you present yourself a certain way. Like, yes, people are going to treat you differently, but I think, we all have to learn it's ways to do things,
Hmm.
and I think that's the bottom line.
I think that we all have to learn you can't project your expectations onto someone else. I know society has taught us that, and they've tried to teach us to all move of one accord. But like I said earlier on, I have friends that are Muslim, I have friends that are Hindu, I have friends that are Buddhist, I have friends that are Catholic, that are Christian, that are non-denominational. I even have agnostic friends. So I think if I walk into a room with this expectation that they believe in Jesus Christ and that they believe mass should be 1 hour, even though not all Catholics only do 1 hour mass. If any of you have heard my Facebook rants, you know where this is going. um, then I think the problem is me because I'm holding someone to an expectation that I hold that they don't necessarily share. So if I'm into fashion and all the latest craze, and the latest fashion craze is wedges and capris, and you're of the Latter-day Saint faith or the Mormon faith or a Jehovah's Witness faith, and you are going to be like, oh, you are not supposed to be wearing pants. Women only wear skirts. So I think that the biggest challenge is that, yes, when I go in professional environments, I'm 41 years old and I've worked in corporate America. I've worked C-level. I no longer wear a fuddy-duddy, super sharp, but, expensive suit. I wear what I want to wear and wear it beautifully and comfortably. And I've also gone in that room and decided if they don't want to hire me because I don't have on a 3-piece power suit, then that's on them, because that's their expectation. And if I don't meet that, I'm completely okay with it, because I'd rather wear this cute dress that I bought on sale that may have been only $10, but it looks like it's $150 dress. And I have on my designer heels because women love their shoes. And if they can't see I'm still together and not in a 3-piece suit, they don't deserve me. That's my take.
Makes sense. Are you retired, or how much longer do you have left?
I'll never retire. I love working. I love helping people. And that's why I created Love Inspire Teach E. It's a consulting company. We do private events, we do coaching, we primarily do marketing because my skill set's in marketing. But I am in between corporate jobs right now and I love it. I absolutely love it because I don't feel this pressure to be like, oh, I'm representing this Fortune 40 brand. And if they see my Facebook, or if they see my Twitter, or if they see my Instagram, or if they see my Snapchat, I could get fired. I don't have that weight on my shoulders. And sometimes because I am attending career fairs, I feel like I should have that weight on my shoulder. But like I said, I totally go in there, pull my shoulders back in confidence, especially if I'm wearing heels, because heels force you to put your shoulders back and stand up straight and tall. And I just introduce myself with a big warm smile, and I let them know I do know how to speak. With my Duke degree, I can switch it up and go a little bit more Bugetto, but I'm not from the hood, so I never go that far. But I can drop an F-bomb with the best of them. And I hope that wherever I land next understands that they have to accept me in my authentic state, because we lived through a pandemic. People were dying left and right. And I've worked corporate America. My last job was in telecommunications, where everybody and their mama needed internet, and you had to stay calm because the whole world around you was falling apart and going nuts. So, and you knew that people needed their internet to keep their jobs because so many other people were losing their jobs. And I got really bogged down and weighed down by the fact that my job was in sales, but I felt so into customer service, and I felt like I couldn't express my own frustrations. So no, I'm not retired and I never will, but I also won't enter a corporate space that won't accept me for me anymore.
Right, I understand. But even looking at your page, you're not very revealing either.
Oh, my mother just told me I was looking like a slut at the cigar lounge. So if you check
Really?
out some of the event pictures, I think they're very tasteful dresses. I get them from Bronzeville Boutique, and half my clothes my mother gave me. So I think it's hilarious that she says stuff like that, because I'm like, Mom, you do know that that dress may be tight, but it all the cuts are strategically placed. They're not like my boob is falling out. Or even my lingerie, like I have a friend who was like, "TeMeka, do you know I see women wear those out as dresses?" I'm like, "Oh, I'd wear this in the bedroom." They're like, "You could wear it out as a dress." I'm like, "I wasn't raised that way, but I might try it when I feel extra super confident. So I'm just throwing that one out there, you know?
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But I'm not gonna lie. Looking at your page, you wouldn't get presented. You wouldn't get approached that way because it's your representation. You know, they people would approach you respectfully.
You'd be surprised. I get approached a lot all the time and not always respectfully. Um,
Really?
Unfortunately, there are different types of men. Like you were probably raised a certain way. You probably recognize the things in me that lets you know she's not of the lower class or she's not gonna tolerate this, that, and the third. But there are other people who they could care less how I was raised. They could care less who I am. They just see a pretty woman and they want her and they're going to talk to her any old way, and especially the way that they like to talk. And they can say some really slick stuff to you like, I want to lick you down there. And you're like, the hell, who told you that was okay to say to me? I don't even know your name.
That's true.
It happens all the time, especially in major cities, especially when I've gone to Jamaica, when I've traveled. People who slide in your DMs can be inappropriate. So they may not do it in public and in your face, but the people who are on Snapchat, oh God, it's not my least favorite app because I feel like it's the shadiest app. It's where the people are like, it's deleting in 24 hours. I can say, they hide behind the computer screen. They are like, I can say any old thing and get away with it. And let's see if she'll respond. Let's see if she's a freak. And I'm like, I may be a freak, but in the bedroom, not in the streets. But it's not for you to know until you at least give me your full government name and maybe your address. Because if you decide to act crazy on me, I need to know where to send people.
Very true.
And don't get me wrong, women do it too. And then I was talking to an acquaintance of mine from the Silver Moon Block Party, and we were talking about how the young men start having sex at a very young age. And I was telling him about a friend who I felt was child molested, but in their head they weren't. And he was saying to me, you would be surprised because there are boys are expected to be men early on. How many young men have been taken advantage of at like 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's normal to them. It's not a big deal to them that they become sexually active at that young of an age. And I was like, that is not okay. My son is 7 and my daughter is 9, about to be 10. I don't think they're mature enough, or nor is it appropriate for anyone to do anything. And I don't care if they're only 11 or 12 and doing it, 13 and 14. I don't care if they're 19, 20, 21. It's not okay. Now, when you get to be 18 to 21 and you've had that wild college life experience, or maybe you grew up where you were forced to grow up really early, like maybe 18, 19, and you're dating like a 20 or 30-year-old, okay, I'm going to give more leeway, but not a 9, 10, 11, or 12-year-old.
Right. I agree.
That's crazy. When we're talking about the definition of crazy, but to some people, that's their norm. They grew up with, auntie or grandma. Oh, you're so cute. You're so handsome. Come here, baby. And we don't think anything of it because we're like, oh, that's a motherly person when she takes him into the room or takes him to help him in the bathroom. Nothing inappropriate is going to happen. Who does that? People do it. And then the scars come up later in life, right? So we're actually at 53 minutes. I'm so glad Nico Suave jumped in and like engaged with me and gave me that opportunity to kind of think about things a little differently, because it's a reminder to me that there are people who do respect you and that do see those details that let you know, hey, I chose this outfit tastefully. Don't come at me that way. And I hope I let him know, like, there's some people who just don't care. And I'm all for confidence and owning who you are, but I'm also about respecting one another's spaces and learning people's boundaries and limits. And I've found that you have to check that early on. So I feel like the definition of crazy right now has been perpetuated by, we are in such a politically correct society that we don't check people right away when they do something that is inappropriate or off. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. There's totally
Right.
that. But we're at a point where we have to do the little commercial break where I remind people, you got to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, share, comment. And if you are someone who's watching the replay, I appreciate you for taking the time to come back and check us out at Love Inspire Teach E. I hope even though you might not be in happy hour yourself, that you still got a happy hour drink whenever you watch this, because this is technically happy hour time. And if you're grown like me, you can have a drink. Just don't go excessively. Don't go extreme, because that's crazy, because that's what we've been talking about. So I'm going to give Nico Suave one final chance to share anything, closing thoughts. And also, I always promote a nonprofit, and I started to talk about Out of the Darkness. So I am going to put up that website briefly after you share your closing thoughts and anything you want to promote or share with everybody.
Um, Dope space. I really like it. Thank you for having me on. For anybody who subscribe,
You're
follow
breaking up,
my.
Nico. Make
Can
sure
you,
you put in the comments any like your handle and everything, but you broke up right when you were saying to like your page, I think.
can you hear me now?
It like echoed on the now part of what you said. Hello? We might have lost him. I'm not hearing anything now. So I'm going to share the Out of the Darkness website for you guys. Well, hopefully, if I hear his voice pop back in. But Nico Suave is on Instagram. That's how I met him. He was podcasting from his Instagram channel, or I'm sorry, handle live the other day. So I recall he said Sundays, and I believe he said Mondays, and he promotes local businesses, sports, and I heard a little bit of sound. Are you back?
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. While you showing that, yeah, just support me. I appreciate all the support. My Instagram handle is Nico Suave underscore media on Instagram. And also, it's just support this dope YouTuber. She's doing great things. We're working. Takes it's a lot to do this on a regular basis. So we appreciate all the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and even myself. I appreciate all the follows and shares. You're helping me spread my word and supporting me, and I couldn't thank you enough.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you jumping in. I didn't give him a lot of heads up. I mean, last week I did tell him last minute as well. But I send out the StreamYard link last minute, to be, to be honest. I have a lot on my plate, and I really have to do better about that. So again, that's Nico Suave underscore media, and he's on Instagram. He is a podcaster as well. He's been doing this for several years, and I truly enjoyed the questions he asked Grace and Dean Racing. So also check out Grace and Dean Racing. He was in Mexico a lot of times this year, actually, and he's doing phenomenally. As I believe he just turned 8 years old. I could be off, because we watched him go kart when he was like 7 in Indiana for the Michiana go kart racing. But check out both of them. You saw that I did put up Out of the Darkness because Crazy is affiliated with psychology and people who still have mental health issues to deal with. But sometimes people use it inappropriately, and it's a reflection of what someone else is experiencing and going through and their expectations. And those expectations might be crazy. So don't let someone hold you to something that doesn't ring true. Now, they could be right. Don't get me wrong. There are instances where, yes, we have to own and admit that person is nuts, so crazy, especially if they're shooting up schools, okay? Or if they're molesting children. That's crazy. But they also need help. They may be suicidal. So that's why I brought up the Out of the Darkness walk. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention does allow you to coordinate these walks as community walks, campus walks. The overnight walk is a big one that I believe they do themselves. And it was in Chicago a couple years ago, and I believe that was in the summer. But that is the nonprofit I'm sharing with you all. If you feel like you need help or need assistance, don't hesitate to call a stranger. Maybe you feel safer talking to a stranger than anyone that knows you. There are many hotlines that can help you. And there's actually a text. Oh man, someone gave me a number you could text, and they'll reply to you. I'll have to look it up for the next podcast. But thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Again, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the notification bell. And I do have merch. So if you have a special woman in your life, we do have the V-neck tees for women in stock. And we are coming out with more merchandise that will have like a smaller logo. And if we can ever assist you in any way, let us know. hello@loveinspiredteache.com is the email address. So thank you again. Thank you to Nico Suave. Thank you to our audience. Thank you, Ty. I know I'm going to see you on Thursday for the Sisterly Love podcast, but she is a consistent supporter. I love her dearly, and she needs love, prayers, and hugs, just like the rest of the world does, just like Nico does, just like I do, just like my children do. The world is crazy. I agree. But we have to say that crazy is our new normal and that we're going to do the Martin Lawrence version. You so crazy in a fun, lighthearted way, and then we're going to find solutions, guys. So let's end on that note. Have a great night, and thank you again. Mwah. Love, inspire, teach, baby. Take care.